Unlucky for some, it's week 13 of What Happened on My Universe mode! And as always, we began with Raw, which was in Phoenix, Arizona. And we also began with something fairly big, as Kane teamed with John Cena to take on Harper and Rowan, who was accompanied by Bray Wyatt. It was the tag team champions that had the advantage to start with, as Bray Wyatt got in Kane's face. They would continue this beatdown until Kane eventually got some sort of reversal, and then managed to tag in the Dark One, John Cena. I only say Dark One because he's still embarrassed after his loss to Curtis Axel and then Bray Wyatt, and he's just trying to hide. Anyway, he fought with Harper and Rowan back and forth until they managed to hit this big double team move. Rowan then hit his finisher and pinned him, adding to his embarrassing woes. Post-match, Bray Wyatt laid out a beatdown on him as well, and told us to follow buzzards, like he always does. Next up, the Divas action, and Summer Rae took on Brie Bella in a match that didn't involve AJ Lee. Hooray, that feud's over. After Brie Bella's strong opening, Summer Rae took a bit of advantage, but it was all for show, as we know this was more of a Divas showcase, showing off who the champion was, and Brie Bella would hit the Bella Buster and take the win. Match number 3 was the Money in the Bank winner, Seth Rollins taking on Ryback, and he opened it with an Asai moonsault. Of course, an Asai moonsault is pretty pointless in a submission match, which this was, because it's the start of a feud, and feuds have to have submission matches in Universe mode. But if it makes it any better, it's also my Match of the Week! In the middle of the match, both men made bad choices for submissions, as Seth Rollins went to the outside to do his, and Ryback did his by the ropes. But then, it was finisher time, and both men hit theirs, with the curb stomp coming there, and the shell shock coming there. Ryback powerbombed Seth on the outside, but when they got back in the ring, Seth Rollins locked in this move, and made Ryback tap. Seth Rollins won. Ryback did not appreciate it, and slapped his hand away when Seth Rollins tried to shake it. In our semi-final, Roman Reigns took on Randy Orton in an Extreme Rules match. Now, Randy Orton was not prepared for what was coming, as Roman Reigns was a man on a mission. Beating him down with weapon shots and throwing him into posts, Randy Orton tried to come back with a Lou Thesz press, but it was to no use, as Roman Reigns hit a rock bottom. Didn't even know that was on his moveset. He then speared him through a table, and just to be safe, he then speared him again through the splinters of the table to get the win. Now it was time for Raw's main event. Daniel Bryan took on Brock Lesnar, but Brock Lesnar didn't let us have an entrance and attacked Daniel Bryan on the ramp. He then hit several moves on the outside before getting back in the ring, but when he did, Daniel Bryan made his comeback, which was pretty quick considering it was like 2 minutes in. Brock Lesnar though got straight back up off the comeback and locked in the key lock, making Daniel Bryan tap. And post-match, well, he just stomped him down. Meanie. Now, main event was in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and we opened with Ric Flair taking on Santana Marella. This match began pretty back and forth, as you'd expect from an opening match to the show, and after a while, Ric Flair would gain the advantage, as you'd expect, because it's Ric Flair v Santana Marella. He's a jobber. But then this happened. Cobra! 2, 3. Santino won a match against someone that wasn't Magnum TA. Well, Magnum TA, he wasn't having any of that, so he took on Rob Van Dam straight after, trying to get an elusive win like Santino did. Unfortunately for Magnum TA, despite hitting this Russian leg sweep, he just wasn't good enough to beat Rob Van Dam, and after being cannonballed, he got 5-star frog splashed and lost the match. He celebrated with Rey Mysterio afterwards. Now, Kevin Nash and Mr. Perfect continued their tag teamness against the New Horsemen, Arn Anderson and Paul Orndorff. There was one question to this match. Could Nash and Perfect coexist after Nash beat Perfect last week and Perfect not appreciating it? Yes, they could. They teamed well, and despite the occasional move from the New Horsemen, including an Arn Anderson Tornado DDT, they won with the Perfect Plex. Post-match though, Mr. Perfect attacked Kevin Nash. Next up it's Shawn Michaels taking on Batista, but but Rey Mysterio turned up and he seemed to be in Batista's corner. This was confirmed a few minutes later when Rey Mysterio distracted Shawn Michaels and threw him back in the ring, allowing Batista to hit a massive spear. After that blip, Shawn Michaels managed to get the upper hand and hit a few moves on Batista. Before Batista reversed a Irish whip into the corner, Shawn Michaels did a random flippy thing and then got speared and Batista bombed to have him down for the 3 count. So Batista gains another win in this feud. Now it's time for main events. Main event! And it was The Undertaker versus Stone Cold Steve Austin with Triple H at ringside. But don't get your hopes up, because this match lasted about 2 minutes. For some reason. Both men hit a load of big moves and reversals and whatnot, but then The Undertaker hit the Tombstone and finished it like that. And then Triple H did nothing after the match. The Undertaker just walked around menacingly. Now it was time for the future, as NXT was in Houston, Texas. We started with R-Truth taking on Sami Zayn. What we had here was another NXT open match. Both men hitting their big moves, but eventually Sami Zayn would hit that Enziguri, that Blue Thunder driver, and then the Haluva kick to take the victory against R-Truth. In match number 2, Diamond Dallas Page was back, and he took on Adam Rose, who came up with the Rosebuds, but they buggered off, and then we had an open match. Well, a kind of open match. Adam Rose didn't hit too many moves before Diamond Dallas Page nailed the Diamond Cutter for the win. So yes, Diamond Dallas Page got the win and celebrated accordingly, and on to the next match, which was the big guy Bull Dempsey taking on the guy that goes lucha lucha lucha, Kalisto. And it was pretty open at the beginning, both men hitting big moves, this springboard dropkick looking super cool, before hitting this weird stunner move. Bull Dempsey then gained the advantage and beat him down with several big moves. However, that Samoan drop led to the Selena del Sol and the 1, 2, 3 Kalisto getting the surprise win over Bull Dempsey. Now, Kevin Steen won the Hardcore title at NXT TakeOver, and he wants to be the fighting champion. So he took on Kick-Ass for the Hardcore title in an Extreme Rules match. Now, at the start, Kick-Ass had the advantage, as you could tell, but then Kevin Steen took over and dismantled him with several massive moves, from the F5 to the Enziguri, then set fire to a table, and then did a package pile driver through the table somehow. I think he just bounced up and landed on it, which was bad enough. Then, being the clever chap that he is, Kick-Ass then congratulated him on putting him through a flaming table. Next up, tag team action, as Finlay and JBL took on the team of Bam Bam Bigelow and Mojo Rawley. The match soon became a handicap match though, as JBL couldn't be bothered and walked away, leaving Finlay to fend for himself against Bam Bam and Mojo. And it didn't last that much longer. Despite Finlay hitting a couple of moves, including a massive tombstone pile driver on Bam Bam Bigelow, Bam Bam ended it with this brainbuster for the win. Afterwards, him and Mojo became friends and hung out. SmackDown now, and it was in Denver, Colorado. We began with a triple threat match between Justin Gabriel, Damien Sandow, and Cesaro. Get ready for triple threat chaos. One thing was for sure in this match: former Intercontinental Champion and generally pissed off guy Cesaro was the favourite. But it was a lot more open than that, with Sandow and Justin Gabriel hitting their fair share of moves. The match headed to the outside, where Cesaro would hit the neutralizer on Justin Gabriel, but back in the ring, Justin Gabriel hit a schoolboy for the shock win. Next up, Darren Young, accompanied by Titus O'Neil, giving us the greatest glitch ever right here. Oh yeah, took on Mark Henry, unfortunately for Darren Young. And it didn't begin well. It got a little better, but then it went south again, with Mark Henry hitting several big smashing moves. Darren Young managed to hit a dropkick, but then got slammed down and junkyard dogged before Mark Henry took out Tyson O'Neil and then hit the world's strongest slam to take the victory. Next up, the brand new Intercontinental Champion Dolph Ziggler took on The Miz. and got kicked in the face to start with, but then suplexed him back for his troubles. The Miz then choked him on the ropes, but then Dolph choked him on the ropes, and it got pretty even. Then the Miz hit his signature maneuver on the outside, knocking Dolph for 6. He could come back with a DDT, however the Miz managed to stop that comeback and hit a skull-crushing finale for the win over the Intercontinental Champion. Possible title shot in the future. Now the Brotherhood took on Kofi Kingston and Big E, and not Harper and Rowan. Hooray! That feud's over as well! And unfortunately for the Brotherhood, the New Day started very strong. Cody did get a comeback though, and hit that slam before tagging Goldust in, who got a slam of his own. He followed that hitting other moves, but Kofi was there with an SOS. Cody came in to save. They fought on the outside before Kofi hit that big move and went for the pin, and Cody came in for the save. However, when Cody got hit with an SOS, Goldust couldn't get the save in time, and the New Day were victorious. Now it was the main event time, and Big Show gave Alberto Del Rio a rematch, but not for the title. So, could Alberto Del Rio earn himself a title rematch against the new world champion Big Show? It was looking that way up until Big Show hit this final cut, the move he won the title with. Del Rio managed to hit an enziguri, but he couldn't duck the knockout punch, which gave Big Show the win. Afterwards, Kofi Kingston wanted a title shot. A few questions over the week. Why didn't Ryback shake Seth Rollins' hand? Why did Brock Lesnar attack Daniel Bryan on the ramp? Why did Mr. Perfect attack his partner Kevin Nash after their match? What's the deal with Rey Mysterio? And how hard did Big Show laugh when he found out Kofi Kingston wanted a title shot? Find out all this and more on What Happened on My Universe Mode! Like and subscribe!